to live, Spirit and Coffee. Got my coffee here. Yum, yum, yum. Oh my God, what a journey. Life is a journey, and life is crazy, and life is fun, and life is everything. Breathe. So, want to talk about time. Time has been such a big thing. I had talked about time before and said we were at the end of times and learning how to maneuver time and how to live through time, which is something that kind of can slow our process or speed our process up. So, how do we engage with time? This is important to understand if you want to, again, create your divine birthright, your divine legacy, or to witness God's miracle in time. And the way we do that is slow down, right? We understand that we slow down. Good morning, Quad D. How are you? Slow down and take deep breaths, okay? There's a couple of things that I can teach about time that I didn't really understand until a couple of days ago because I had a journey. I've been on a journey. I don't even know. Time has been interesting for me. But what I did learn is practices. What do practices do? I'm constantly talking about practices. I live into practices. I understood how time allows us to get closer to God. So how we utilize our time is important. Everything that we do in our life misdirects us in other ways that we may not be thinking of God or about God. Okay? It steers our time away from it. So if we were thinking about God 24/7 all day long, every day, and contemplating God, what would happen? If you just spent an entire day contemplating that, being in the presence, noticing that everything's God without judgment, with being completely neutral, what would you experience? Would you see God's miracle in action? How would you do that? Do you even choose to do that? It takes practice to get there, right? To be able to look and witness God's miracle. And the reason why we sometimes fall off the practice of really focusing on God and we start to look at the external, we start to look at how do I fix this? How do I make this right? Instead of fully surrendering to God is because of the time, the way that we focus our time. So our time itself, the focus of time and energy steers us away from focusing on God in some way. Now, this isn't right, wrong, good, or bad. But if we did everything in the name of God and we focused on God with time through everything that we do and put that first, every single second as a practice, then we would experience God's miracle in everything around us, even the parts that we don't want to look at, even the parts we don't like, even the parts that we just want to turn our face from, because we sort of learn how to forgive. We forgive it. And we've talked about forgiveness and the compassion, but if you saw it as a game, like an engagement with another individual, and every time this game came to you, that it was a test. Maybe it was a test of your ability to forgive. Maybe it was a test of your ability to be okay that, people use manipulation sometimes, and be okay with that and look at them in the eyes of love and say, I get that. I get that maybe you don't even know that you're doing it at this moment, but to be able to see it from that perspective, to be able to look at it from that perspective. It's like every time that we're able to see or identify something, there's not a trigger within you because you get to observe the behavior rather than become the behavior. That's the distinction. It's not about becoming the behavior, it's about witnessing the behavior. We don't become it, we witness it. And when we witness it, we're witnessing it through the eyes of God. If you witness it through the eyes of God, then there's nothing else but love. That's all there can be is love. There can't be anything else but love. Good morning, Tessie. Good morning, Tony. So when we look through time and we ask ourselves, what is time? Is it a program? And if it's a program that's getting operated within us, if time is a program, okay, that means that the program created time, or time was created within the program for a reason. Everything to be pointed back to God. Everything. That means every interaction. That means every breath we take. That means everything we see, the lights, the everything around us, all of it, God. Neutral. From a space of neutrality, of pure witness. Different. It's a different feeling. It's a different embodiment. I say the word embody because it comes from the internal space that we carry inside of us. It's through the heart. The heart itself, right, allows us to set into the witnessing of God's miracle rather than forcing God's miracle. We just witness it. How does this happen? It happens by practices. Practices allow us to move time the way we choose to. So we talk about time and space from the scientific perspective. Now, from the spiritual perspective, right? So from the spiritual perspective, yeah, and from the spiritual perspective, there is no time. But in this three-dimensional construct, there is time. Now, to get out of that is what I'm talking about. Because even though time is something that we constructed, we still witness time. We still see time. We still maneuver through time. We're still in a 3D dimensional space right now where our bodies are experiencing the time, are the constructs of time. Okay? Where we ourselves are stuck in a program of time. The construct is the program. So if we looked at it as a program, okay, Kwadi, this is what I'm talking about. The program itself, our practices will help us to maneuver through that time to create our divine birthright. There's nothing wrong with the construct of time in this third dimensional space. It's how do we utilize the time? How are we using our time to get us closer to God? What is it that we're doing? Everything that we do, everything that we understand are closer to truth, okay? At least for me, it's a choice what you want to do with your time. But as you guys know, everything for me is God. God, 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 God. Everything God. Everything. Always. And it always comes back to God, to truth. What is truth? What is God? What is God? Where is God? Can I experience God? Can I be the embodiment of God? And every time and every day, that's the question. And that's what I wake up with every single day. Now, understanding time, right? Time is a construct. It is. How do we construct our own time? Because again, we're three-dimensional figures or avatars in this space of construct of time that has been created. How do we utilize it? How do we maneuver ourselves from one space to the other to gain more time for ourselves so that we can focus on God or bring ourselves to God over and over and over again so that we can witness God's miracle in action? Time as a construct is a miracle because it allows us to witness God's miracle. Time allows us to see it from a perspective, from a space of perception. The perception is here. It's not this, it's this. It goes like this. This is what it looks like. When we get to the pineal, when we get to the head space, when we get up there into projection of our time and space, it looks like this. It looks like a diamond on the forehead. That is what it looks like. And it projects out like a movie. It takes the internal. So yes, time is a construct and it is a program, okay? Now, I don't know the difference between construct and program. I'd have to look at the words because construct may be a better word to describe it. But right now I say it's a program. And that program of time is, it's beautiful. It's beautiful if you understand how to utilize it in this third dimensional space. So how do we get back time? Practices. how you use your practices. What are your practices? Okay, understanding your practices is what's going to get you to the next phase of being able to be fully committed to God. There's little distractions that show up that steer us away, little distractions that steer us away, and that's okay. Those are all tests to clear out the space of our chakra system, of the witness, of all the archetypal, all the energies that surround us. Everything is just a test. It's not, it's like a simulation, basically, a simulation of what is happening. It's a simulation, okay? The simulation itself. Hey, Cecile. Hey, Michael. Hey, Marco. Hey, everybody who's on here. The simulation itself is designed to experience. But we can experience the program when we become the witness of it. And by that, it's practices. And as we have practices set in place and in motion, we have more and more support so we don't have to focus on those tiny little things that get us caught in time, that keep us caught or trapped in time. It keeps us like a spiral in time. It repeats over and over and over and over again. And these are relationships that we have with individuals, and those entanglements of time that happen that steer us away from God. It is God. It's all God in motion, and it's trying to take us back to God, but it takes up time. Okay, I hope this is making sense. I've written it all down, but I'm telling you, I went on a journey. I would say Alice in Wonderland. I was in Wonderland, okay? Where I did a depiction, and I don't have the charts of the depiction, but the way that it looks here is practices. Now, I'm not right, wrong, good, or bad. The journey that I took to get where I got or where I've been may not be your journey, and that's okay. It's by choice. These are merely ideas and supports and guides so that you understand how to create your divine purpose and your divine right, your birthright, what you're here to do. You are spiritual connection, you're spiritual beings of God. You are light forces of God. Now, to fully embody that and to experience it, it's one thing to understand it as a concept, but to walk through it, to literally walk through it and experience it in the body, right? And it is the chakras, it is the chakra systems opening up. It's healing all of the pieces of the chakras, but how do you heal that, right, is what's important. So right now, working on what does it look like to fully heal, so that when your root and your stellar self are interconnected, you can receive the message because you have the power within you. Everybody does. It's just getting there. How do we get there? Together, in unison, as one, nobody left behind. It's the ascension. It's allowing us to connect to our God self, to see God the way we see God, through whatever visual we can see God, right? The projection and the vision of God through us. So time is important. So how you spend your time, they call it spiritual currency, what you spend your time on and what you're focused on. Practices. Practice allow us, they give us time and they take away time. So you can ask yourself, you don't get there, you already have it. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. I have it, but trust me, in this third dimensional space, I had to go through a journey to get there. I was on a quest Ion, and I'm always a beginner. So those things are critical, right? Always being a beginner, always being able to look at it from a different perspective. I don't have the answers. I just know what I'm embodying, and I know how I see and perceive the world around me. And this is what I perceive. That time itself can be utilized and focused through practices, and we can gain time back or we can speed time up. And as we speed time up, we're able to connect to God always. And it's that synergy of God over and over, the embodiment of God and that feeling and that vibrational frequency of God within us, completely holy every single time, every single second of every single day. The radiation of God through us to become our God self, to let God fully embody us completely and surrender to it, which is amazing. And it's phenomenal. And the feeling to be able to witness God's miracle fully, to be the observer, to be the one to observe and see the projection and understand it. So beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the most magnificent thing that I can ever say that I've witnessed God's miracle fully. I've witnessed God's miracle fully before in other situations, but the miracle that I witnessed yesterday was beyond anything I could have ever asked for. Why? Because God. That's it. And when we can focus our time on God all the time, every day, all day, and bring ourselves back to God over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and witness God's miracle in motion, is the greatest blessing we can ever be given. To witness God in action. Holy bejesus. It's amazing. So it's powerful, it's beautiful. I don't know how much gratitude I can give to the world, to the planet, to the people, to the everything that I've experienced in this journey, that I've experienced through this third dimensional space time, that I've witnessed, that I've seen the beauty of individuals, of people, the beauty of the sun rising and setting, the beauty of the wind on the trees, what I've been able to hear, all God's miracle. But my time is all God's. And it's so awesome. So, Jonathan, I get that you're beyond that, but there are people who are committed to understanding how to get there that don't necessarily understand. And that's why I do these podcasts, because there are individuals who are saying, I want my time and I want to serve God and I don't know how. And it's merely just a guidance. I'm not the only way. There's billions of ways. I'm not even a way. I just know what I've experienced. And all I can do is give you some bit of information to support you, and you choose to take it or don't. It's never by force. It's always by try your practices, try doing these things so that you can fully witness God's miracle. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. What would we do? Okay, so let's see. Why does the universe expand? Because we are chasing it. What would we do if we didn't chase it? Yeah, and me, I'm chasing God. I'm finding my way back to God always, because we get amnesia. I get amnesia. I'm human, right? I'm human in this dimensional space. So I'm always like, okay, how do I get back to God? Where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Oh, God's there. So God, right, is my everything. I'm not chasing the universe because I know the universe is a construct of God. So I don't go chasing planets and chasing the stellar. What I chase, and this is just me, is God. I'm constantly looking for God. Where's God in this? Where's God in that? Oh, I see God in this. Oh, I see God in that. And then to fully witness and be a witness of God's miracle, there is a place of peace and calm. And just everything is beautifully perfect and perfectly perfect, just the way it is. But to get to that space is to understand time, because time is a program. It's a program that's within this construct, like you said. So Time isn't the construct. Time is a program within the construct because there are other programs at play besides just time. The construct is bigger. I think the construct is projection. So the construct itself is not, so there you go, Kwadi. The construct itself, if we looked at it from the space of the programming, the construct has different parts, and time is a program within the construct. So time isn't a construct, time is a program within the construct. I don't think we can fully understand the entire construct because I would say that that is God. But I can say that there are pieces of God that manifest outside of the projection of God itself. Like God had thought form or projection on something, and then that created more projection and more projection and more, and now we see it here. And here, part of that construct is time in this third dimensional space. It's called a program for a reason. Yeah, it is. And there we go. But we can use time. Now, it's not a bad thing. Time's not a bad thing. I like time in this space, actually. I like time in this planet. I like time because it lets us witness God. It allows us to see God's miracle. That's what it does. If we use it right. If we're righteous with our time, right? If everything we do is in the name of God and time, then we get to be the observer of God's miracle. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Good morning, Raven. We become the witness of God's miracle, the observer of God's miracle. We're not creating the miracle. We're only witnesses of the miracle. And what allows us to do that is to totally be present to the time. Good morning, Trenton. And I hope that makes sense to you. So again, time is a part of the construct. The construct itself is bigger than just time. There's more there in the construct, like space would probably exist here in this dimensional space, but not in all, right? Because we couldn't even understand the expansion of I can't understand the expansion of the entire universe. What I understand here is how we can witness God's miracle. I understand that because I've witnessed God's miracle in action, completely, fully, and wholly as an observer of the miracle. I've observed it. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've sat back and quietly watched everything happen around me. That witnessing of God's miracle, that is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Then when we observe, we can become the projection of God's miracle. Why? Because we ourselves have the ability to project what we need into our time space. When we project what we need into our time space, we can create practices that allow us to do God's work. If it's in the name of God, if the projection comes in the name of God, then we can start to co-create with God, and God will give us the resources that we need so that we can start to expand God's miracle. And that's it. It's simple. So that's why we expand it. So then I'm not chasing the universe. I'm creating a universe within my own right, within my own self. I'm creating my own universe around me in the name of God. So it's opposite, Jonathan, if you're still on here. At least for me, I just had to process what you were saying. I don't chase the universe. I bring myself back to God over and over and over again. And as I bring myself back to God over and over and over again, I'm able to witness God's miracle through other people. Why? Because God is me and I am God, and God is an extension of me. So everybody in my space becomes the embodiment of God around me. And when they become the embodiment of God around me, I don't need to talk. I don't need to say anything. I just need to observe. And while I observe it and see it, I'm watching God in action. It's that separation between it. There's no judgment. It's the neutral space of witnessing God's miracle. Good morning, Ignacio. It's neutral. It has no judgment. It's curious. At the space of, in that space of the observer, when we become the observer of witnessing God's miracle, all there are questions. That's it. It's a quest. You're on a quest. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You're asking questions. You have no judgment because you become curious to understand God's miracle in action. If somebody's upset, rather than being upset with them, you're curious about it. Why? Why are you upset? What happened? What's the thing? And you become the witness of God's miracle. Then they take you on a journey. And then some healing happens, and you see the healing through God's miracle because God can heal all. When you become the observer, you allow God to work through somebody else. When you become the observer, you allow God to come out in them. That's what happens. When you observe, not to judge, but just to listen, just to be there and curious about it, God will start to surface up in the individual. That's what happens. When you're in neutral and you don't judge, God will move through them. And we say, I can't judge that because it's not up to me because I am not God. I'm just a human right now, and I'm allowing God to move through me. But that's not just for me, it's for everybody because we all are God. That's it. End of story. Even the ones who reject that, even the ones who say they're not that, even the ones who say this or that or science or whatever are the ones that are mad or upset or don't even like it or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But to be the embodiment of the witness of God's miracle, there is no other experience like it ever, ever, ever. I have witnessed God's miracle in action, but not like I did yesterday. We can manifest and deem God's name, amen. And it is God's time. It's God's time. It's not my time. He's given me time to be here in this body, and I utilize that time for God's miracle, period. End of story. If it's not God, I don't want it. That's it. It's that simple. If it's not God, I don't want it. All I want is God. Over and over and over and over. Why? Because God is all. That's it. It's that simple. So to become the witness of God's miracle fully, and I mean the embodiment of it, like we see it, we observe it, but to actually see it manifest out, like in the external world. It's what we call in mastery. A master will say pen, and a pen will just drop. This and this will just come to you. And there's no manipulation in it. It just happens because you're doing God's work. It just happens. It just synergizes because it's like now I have more time to focus on God and supporting God and supporting others to remember that they are God. That's it. Like, that's it. That's all. Like you remembering your God in motion. Like you have so much power within you. So much power within you. And eventually we're all going to be able to see our God self fully, wholly, completely, where we look at our brothers and sisters and all we see is God. And witness God's miracle over and over and over again. It's It's quite amazing. Whew. Some powerful stuff. I tell you that what I experienced yesterday, you would think that I was on some kind of drug. And you don't have to do any kind of drug to get there, right? That's the beauty of it. All you have to do is just be. Be in the practice. Have faith. Your connection is there. And when that connection happens with you, which I'm sure it has with many of you, the beauty of God's miracle, the witnessing, being the observer of God's miracle, being able to just question and not have any judgment and watch the programming in play is probably the coolest thing in the entire world to witness. It's amazing. It's love. Over and over again, it's love, 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 love. I also believe if you're working in God's light, you will become a magnet and draw others to you. I have been blessed with so many miracles and witnessing blessings. Yes, amen. I agree, Diana. And it's amazing the beautiful work that people are doing. I mean, we are all coming together in God's name and doing it from a place of peace and healing. And I see the world is the pendulum swinging on the other side. I see that everybody is starting to wake up and really recognize the divine that's within them. And that's such a beautiful thing. God's working miracles through people right now. And I love that. I just love it. It's beautiful. I miss you too. So I just want to say that I am grateful to you. I mean, you guys are spiritual warriors. I don't know if we want to say warriors, but we'll say that for today. And your journeys, may they be blessed and abundant and beautiful. And may God bestow upon you the miracle of life and love and joy and peace and tranquility. And may God release the chains of suffering around you and heal the people that are around you and heal the sickness that's within certain humans, and that be released, and that we can work together to release that energy from the world, because we can do it together. We may not be doing it in the same space, but we're doing it together. We're all spiritual warriors together working on this. And I know that we all have our own power within us to make it happen, to create a new world, to create a world of love and kindness and peace and respect. And so I call to all of the ascended masters. I call to all of the spiritual beings, to everybody that's on this planet Earth doing God's work. I call upon you to remember who you are, to wake up, to resurrect, to come to fruition, to remember that God is with you always and forever. And there you go. Good morning, Jared. Stay blessed, Spirit. Thanks for this show. Okay, Quad D, yes. And Quad D, I saw that you wanted to call in. Maybe I'll do a call-in show sometime this week or something. I've never done a call-in before, but I have people on Facebook Live, and that's why I don't do call-ins and stuff like that. But I love you very much, Quad D. I'm very proud of you, Quad D. Keep going. And if you need any support from me, let me know, and I'm here to help any way that I can. Okay? So I hope you can feel the love and the blessing to you. So lots and lots of love. Go out, be spiritual creatures of this world. I have a lot of things that I'm working on that I need to get complete, to get Spirit and Coffee up and running, because you guys are my spiritual family, and all the spiritual family, I want us to mingle together. That's what we get to do, is like learn how to mingle together, like in love, like, woo, we love each other in like Care Bear land. And then we could just shine our little Care Bear hearts to the sun and, and just be like, God, we love you. Ah, and just shine. Okay. All right, little Care Bears. I love you guys. Have the most fantastical day ever. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. And I love you and have a great day. And I will see you soon. Bye.